Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome to another session of our Day One Beyond series, where we take you through various topics and activities related to building out on Oracle Cloud. Our today's session is real data replication with Oracle GoldenGate, which will cover stream data processing solutions with high availability and real-time analysis. I'd like to introduce Peter Inzana and Avi Argov as today's presenters. That being said, I'll hand over to Peter.
Thank you, Borna, and thanks, Avi, for joining us today. Thank you for those of you who have joined the presentation on OCI Golden Gate. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with OCI Golden Gate, but this is the SaaS version, the fully managed, fully native cloud version of Oracle Golden Gate. And what is Golden Gate? It's more than just a data replication tool, and certainly more than a homogeneous data replication tool, although it does a very good job of replicating Oracle to Oracle data. But Golden Gate, each and every release and each and every year since its infancy 30 years ago, has added heterogeneity. It's very, very heterogeneous. It supports a wide array of sources and targets beyond just Oracle. Things like SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, even NoSQL databases like Cassandra, DataStax, and MongoDB we can replicate. And we go beyond sources and targets that are just databases. We can source and target from things such as Kafka and JMS. We could feed targets such as object stores and Hadoop and all of the leading lakehouses and data warehouses that are available today. And even beyond data replication, and within that context, row-level SQL transformations, with our stream analytics technology, you can utilize a more rich set of transformations, things like aggregations, sorts, joins, lookups, even apply geospatial and time series fencing, inject AI and ML into your flows, and output data in any format that you'd like with Stream Analytics. It really allows you to build CTL pipelines, continuous transform and load pipelines, and build self-service data products. And that's a real benefit to make more use of your change data. There's really 3 R's that are beneficial in terms of using Golden Gate over and beyond ETL. ETL, the batch bulk processing that is very impactful to OLTP sources, has kind of gone by the wayside. Fewer and fewer customers allow for mission critical systems, OLTP sources, to allow BI tools or ETL tools to be pointed at those during business hours. And everyone's 24/7 now, so no longer are there batch windows. So change data capture is the right way, is the best way to do your data integration nowadays. And the 3 R's that really differentiate Golden Gate over other tools in the industry are real-time, resiliency, and reconcilability. Real-time is the CDC aspect of Golden Gate, always and only capturing change data from transaction logs underlying your mission-critical OLTP databases in a very low-impact way. And in an event-driven basis, we push just the change data, transform and apply just the change data. So there's inherent benefits and savings in that. Less network traffic, less midstream processing for transformations, less downstream processing for applies. And it's an event-driven architecture that always allows your targets to show the current state of your data. Then there's reconcilability. How Golden Gate works is it captures change data from transaction logs, and we keep track of the last successfully committed transaction we've captured from a source and that which we've applied to a target. And what that means is if Golden Gate were to go down, if a source or a target were to go down, when things get started back up, we know exactly where to pick back up, ensuring you haven't dropped any data, and we reorder the transactions as well, even from a parallel processing model. So that's your resiliency or recoverability, knowing that you're not going to drop any data. And that's how and why Golden Gate is used for high availability solutions. And the last R in the 3 R's is reconcilability. How Golden Gate moves change data is in the form of a trail file. These trail files contain the payload of change data as well as rich metadata, inserts, updates, deletes, before and after SQL images, truncates, And these allow you to feed audit tables for compliance and really let you know who did what, when, and where to that source data, allowing you to trust that data. So now within your data movement context, you know it's real time, event driven, you know it's trustworthy, uh, resilient, and reconcilable. And you know you haven't dropped any data within that, so you know where the data came from. It just allows you to make better, smarter decisions and actions in real time, which is a big benefit of the GoldenGate suite. And you don't need to just take my word from it. The leading industry analysts agree. It's thanks to GoldenGate. We're leaders in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for the 17th year in a row. We got highest marks for operational data integration. Really nice comments about our remarkable data replication and synchronization, as well as repeated highlights about how we invest in our on-premise technology and in the cloud. And Forrester's Enterprise Data Fabric Wave report, we're once again a leader, and you could not score higher than we had in terms of data integration, scalability, distributed transactions, and such. You folks will have access to these slides after the event, and you have links to read the full reports there. And these are relatively recent. These were published in December. So let's talk about the more popular use cases of GoldenGate. It's great for a multi-cloud fabric. Now, the average GoldenGate customer runs us on premises and in two clouds. It's a great technology for synchronizing across all your nodes of a data mesh, helping you to move from the as-is world you have today and integrate into where you want to be in the future, allowing you to back out of those old systems once you're satisfied. But OCI GoldenGate is available in all the OCI data centers. Now it's also available in 20 plus Azure data centers. We're soon to roll out on Google data centers. And by the end of this year, we hope and expect to start rolling out within AWS data centers. And these are all part of the Database at initiative, where these hyperscalers had GoldenGate along for that ride because none of these hyperscalers have anything that can do what GoldenGate can do. So for moving data in and out of database at Azure, database at Google, database at AWS, there's no better technology to do that. Another popular use case is high availability. Now, GoldenGate, when it's combined with Active Data Guard, it's really how you can achieve 5 nines of availability, or what we call the platinum level of the maximum availability architecture. So when used in conjunction with Active Data Guard and its physical synchronous capabilities, snapshot capabilities, which are really just for like-to-like Oracle databases, those of the same version and schema and endianness and such, GoldenGate brings an extra dimension or two. Because it's asynchronous and logical data replication, GoldenGate can replicate over wider distances. GoldenGate can also replicate bidirectionally with what we call ACDR, automatic collision detection and resolution. So when you marry these two technologies together, it's the really state-of-the-art platinum level architecture to use for those 5 nines of availability. And GoldenGate provides high availability, not just for Oracle databases, but for all flavors of DB2, SQL Server, Postgres, MySQL, and so forth. As mentioned before, fewer and fewer customers will point a BI tool or an ETL tool to do a select star from table from an OLTP source. So there's no better way really than invoking GoldenGate to capture those incremental changes from those sources to feed an operational data store, a hub. From there, you can do your operational reporting, or from this staging area, do downstream ETL without impacting the performance of your mission-critical OLTP sources. Online migrations has always been a popular use of GoldenGate because, again, we can replicate bidirectionally, even heterogeneously. So whether you're migrating from one version of an Oracle database to another, or from ground to cloud, or from a different database into Oracle, or vice versa, there's no better tool out there to keep the old and new systems synchronized, allowing you the zero downtime, zero data loss migration. Real-time ingest into analytical stores is an emerging use case that keeps increasing year after year after year. And it's not just the breadth of these targets that we support, but how deeply we support these targets. So if it's the autonomous data warehouse or Oracle's IA data platform, or if it were Snowflake or Azure Data Lake, Microsoft Fabric, and so forth, not only do we expand on these, but we deepen how well we support these. For example, Snowflake. Initially, we started feeding Snowflake through JDBC sequentially. Then we started to support using Kafka as an intermediary. Then we released the ability to stage and merge change data, feeding change data to local object store, and then invoke the Snowflake utilities to microburst that change data into the internal tables, and even optimizing those operations and coalescing them beforehand. Then we added to that the ability to stream inserts directly into Snowflake as soon as Snowflake released that streaming API. And subsequently, now we're even feeding Snowflake in the Iceberg open table format. So it's always evolving, always deepening, always improving how well we can feed these type solutions. And what better thing to have in your analytical stores than real-time data that you can trust that has none's been dropped. And then there's those stream analytics use cases. Again, this is our CTL, Continuous Transform and Load Pipeline Builder, injecting your own AI and ML, outputting to the Onyx Open Neural Network Exchange format that large language models like, building mission-critical self-service data products with a lot of flexibility and transformations in mind via a graphical user interface. So those are the high-level use cases of GoldenGate. A lot of our customers start off on one and evolve into using more, because really a simple drag and drop point and click UI, and Avi will show you that in a few minutes. This latest release of GoldenGate is the 26 AI release. It's really the 23.26 release, evolution-wise. And each and every one of these releases, we've invested a lot of resources in both on-prem and in the cloud. We stayed well aligned with the Oracle 26 AI database as we have along, taking full advantage of all the greatest features, security measures, data types, and so forth. Each and every one of these releases, we've also expanded how heterogeneous GoldenGate is. We've improved performance, so higher volumes of change data being replicated at lower latencies, and we've expanded how heterogeneous GoldenGate is. So it's really changed a lot over the years, but GoldenGate is still the best technology out there to capture change data for mission-critical OLTP sources. Again, you'll have this deck of slides, and there's a link embedded here to a technical brief to dive deeper into this. In this NASCAR slide of logos, you can see all the sources and targets that OCI GoldenGate supports. And again, there's an embedded link up top for you to drill into our official certification matrices, a public list getting down to even the version of these sources and targets. Everything you see on the left column, these are sources and targets for which we support CDC, real-time CDC with OCI GoldenGate. Everything in that central column, those are targets only for which we support. And some new things there you might see are Microsoft Fabric, Single Store, and Redis. And everything in the wider right-hand column, those are batch bulk sources and targets that we also support within OCI GoldenGate deployments via an optional data transform deployment option. And a lot of these sources and targets, we're not talking about a transaction log capture. We're talking batch bulk API-based and or SQL interfaces to connect to things that for which you wouldn't have access to the transaction logs underlying those. So we're always adding to how heterogeneous these sources and targets, how wide these heterogeneous sources and targets are, and we'll continue to expand on those. As mentioned before, there's various deployment options within the umbrella offering OCI GoldenGate. You pay a subscription to OCI GoldenGate, you'll have a certain amount of OCPUs to deploy within each of these options. It could be real-time CDC for Oracle databases, non-Oracle databases, big data type sources and targets. You can invoke and build stream analytics, CTL pipelines with OCI GoldenGate deployments. You can use those ODI based data transforms, again, those batch bulk connectors. And then also GoldenGate Veridata. Veridata will soon become, well, it's in some OCI data centers now. It will get split across even those other hyperscalers data centers too. Veridata will be a new deployment option. Veridata is another way to do governance, data governance with GoldenGate, in that it provides a data source and target synchronization validation. So it checks and you decide which tables, which rows you want to compare and repair. But it uses a SQL compare and repair routine, even heterogeneously, to confirm how coordinated, how consistent your sources and targets are. And these can be sources and targets not even propagated by GoldenGate. You could be using a homegrown tool, a third-party ETL tool, and Veridata in a heterogeneous way can still compare and repair those consistencies. And so it could be SQL Server, MySQL Source, and a Snowflake or a DB2 target. It's up to you. But Veridata is a really great tool to use, especially for those data migration and upgrade projects. With all of this put together, with the ability to use those different deployment options, it's really a fully managed data fabric that you can build with OCI GoldenGate. It's an industry-leading technology for batch, for bulk, for CDC, for streaming data integration and streaming analytics. It's cloud native. You have all the efficiencies of the cloud and scalability, and it maps to a lot of different use cases. So again, within one offering, within one subscription and your universal cloud credits, you can be doing CDC. You can do batch bulk ETL or ELT. You can do those continuous transform and load pipelines, capturing the change data with GoldenGate and flowing it through stream analytics, CTL pipelines, learning from that data as it's in motion and outputting those self-service data products. And we have an ever increasing number of sources and targets supported for this. So it's one platform with common security measures, monitoring, payment processes, FinOps, and so forth, all available through OCI. And the topologies and the use cases that you can map to, it could be from on-prem to cloud, from cloud to on-prem, across clouds, intra-cloud and inter-cloud. You can be capturing from SaaS applications and feeding data warehouses. You can be capturing from big data sources, things like MongoDB and Cassandra. So there's really a lot you can do with this data platform. And it's really secure. Just as GoldenGate microservices on-prem, the OCI-based cloud version, all the data at rest and in motion is fully encrypted. And if you want to manage those encryption keys in Oracle Key Vault, that's supported as well. We've done all the FedRAMP certification testing. It's available in the GoldenGate regions, in the GoldenGate government regions. And we provide disaster recovery for OCI GoldenGate too. Built into the service itself, like all OCI services, it has a Category 7 SLA, so 99.95 availability. But if you wanted to go beyond that, if you wanted to have backup environments in a different domain or even in a different region, we support that now as well. So what you have now and what's available for you to build is a real-time transactional data fabric or mesh with OCI GoldenGate. Regardless of whether your sources and or targets are OLTP or ROLAP, whether they're on premises or in one cloud or another, we can feed that change data throughout the enterprise and stream it as well into your streaming lakehouse options and help it move through the medallion architecture. So we could replicate the raw transactional data into the bronze layer, and we can help it move along into the silver and gold layers as well. Again, we support all the leading data lakehouses and warehouses. Really popular use case there, especially now that we support the Iceberg open table format. More embedded links you'll have in these slides to follow up deeper into that. But whether it's a serverless mode with just object storage or in concert with the catalogs and the data lakehouse offerings from all the vendors, the Iceberg open table format is increasingly popular. And outside of the realm of trail files, we've opened them up. This came from several customer enhancement requests. But instead of forming a trail file to be shipped, this GoldenGate data streams offering is another option, part of the OCI GoldenGate distribution service. But instead of producing a trail file, what we do here is expose database events, DML or DDL. We'll expose those database events directly, but as document style, as a JSON formatted cloud event in a pub sub type model. So any application, a homegrown application that your developers had built, it could be Kafka, it could be Solace's event mesh, it could be a data scientist coding in Python in a Jupyter notebook. Any of these subscribing to an async API channel can be receiving these database events directly in real time. And you still have the availability, the flexibility to decide, I want to capture these database events from these tables or just these columns, or if there's changes in these columns, send the whole row. You have a lot of flexibility in this. And this technology, data streams, will even build that client-side code for integration and consumption on the client side. So really cool new feature. And it helps in agentic AI as well. We do zero ETL, so within just a few clicks, we can automatically replicate from autonomous transaction processing into autonomous data warehouse, or really across any Oracle GoldenGate, Oracle database form factors. Great for migrations, as we've discussed, feeding real-time hubs, and these could be AI RAG data hubs. When you use GoldenGate within the context of AI, it could be vectorizing data in flight, because we now support the ability to leverage local or remote large language models through that Onyx format, and we'll vectorize data on the way into a target. And this is stuff we could do for years in releases now with Stream Analytics. So here's a quick look at that CTL, Continuous Transform and Load Pipeline Builder. Again, it's being fed by GoldenGate captures or data coming down a Kafka topic or a JMS queue. You can apply your transformations. You can see the data as it's in motion. Apply time series and geospatial fencing. Output through the open neural network exchange. Again, build those self-service data products that help you solve real business problems and build these data products to address those problems, regardless of what industry you're in. It's a better way to take better advantage of your change data. With GoldenGate, we can replicate vectors. So all of those same use cases we mentioned before, high availability, migrations, integrations, streaming integration, we support that across the board with vector data types. With the data streams technology I mentioned, it's very easy to plug into agentic AI. And what does this mean? Well, by plugging in your own data, your corporate data, your customer data into your large language model processing, it's going to reduce your hallucinations, give you a much quicker time to market and value, and just get you better ROI out of your AI initiatives. And OCI GoldenGate, as mentioned a little briefly before, it's part of this mission that we're undertaking with the database at hyperscaler. So GoldenGate is now part of database at Azure. It's in over 20 data centers. We tend to roll out about 6 every couple weeks. And it's native part of Azure. You pay with your Microsoft Azure Cloud credits. And you have a link here to check which data centers it's available in, and a link down bottom here to learn how to provision that. And within that agreement and within the collaboration we've had with Microsoft on this, they recommended that we build new handlers for feeding Microsoft Fabric. So GoldenGate now, OCI GoldenGate now has integration with the open database mirroring and OneLake object storage capabilities. We've done all the GoldenGate certification testing for Azure Site Recovery, and we have a service. We've already had a service for a number of years called OCI DMS, Database Migration Service. And this has traditionally been for free to use for 6 months to replicate or migrate on-premise databases into OCI, Oracle databases. Now this is certified and available for up to 6 months to migrate into database at Azure, into database at Google and AWS as well. As mentioned, GCP, we expect this to come later this spring. We're going to roll out in 12 data centers. And as part of this collaboration process, we've already had the ability to feed a handler for feeding Google BigQuery. Now we're collaborating with them on a capture agent for BigQuery, as well as capture and apply agents for Google Spanner, their distributed database. And GoldenGate, this slide shows you how much easier it is to manage and use as compared to the on-premise software versions and customer managed and the hosted versions in Marketplace. Really, there's nothing that you need to do in terms of installing software, not even upgrades or patches. It's all done automatically for you. The standard price without a discount for license included OCI GoldenGate is $134 per OCPU hour. And we have the notion of auto scaling. So if you were to deploy, say, 4 OCPUs, you can switch on the radio button to activate auto scaling, and it's going to scale up to 12 as needed, depending on your workload, and it'll scale back down. And you only pay for what you need. So somewhat as a wrap up, before I get into a couple customer cases and hand off to Avi for a demo, just keep in mind GoldenGate, it's for operational as well as AI-based or analytics-based data integration when you need real time, when you want low impact on the source, whether it's for high availability, migrations, vector hubs, it fits the bill. It's really a Swiss Army knife for real-time data integration. Now I'll touch on a few customer cases before handing off to Avi. These are some pretty cool cases for OCI GoldenGate, again, our fully managed service. This is the Royal Flying Doctor Service. These guys fly out into the bush in Australia. They even have their own TV show for doing so. They needed to have more real-time data to better help them to help clients, help patients out in the bush. They're using OCI GoldenGate to capture from MySQL on-premises, from PostgreSQL in Azure, and they feed Oracle's Autonomous Data Warehouse in OCI. Another Australian-based health agency is their premier healthcare agency. They've been using OCI GoldenGate for a while now. They needed a better handle on all of their operations, on their status. They wanted dashboards with this data, and they do their analytics and reporting on such in Snowflake. So they're capturing change data from Oracle and SQL Server databases on-prem, and they directly stream this change data into Snowflake for building out these dashboards. So now in real time, they can tell how many patients are waiting in emergency, how many patients have been discharged versus admitting. It really helps in ambulance dispatching and patient bed management and so forth. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Avi.
I'm going to share a recording of demo I recorded a few days ago to how easy is it to configure application from a source to a target with GoldenGate. In this demo, it's going to be for Oracle databases, but it's very similar if you use Postgres, MySQL, and different types of targets. Hello, everybody. This is a demo on how to configure OCI GoldenGate application between 2 autonomous databases, as you can see in the high-level diagram in here. And let's get started. The 2 databases are autonomous database. The source is transaction processing database, and the target is Lakehouse database. And we're going to start with create connection between the 2 databases for OCI GoldenGate. So we're going to go in the navigation menu, and we can type GoldenGate, go to deployments, and we're going to start with connections. So I will start with create a connection. We call the first connection ATP. That's going to be for the OLTP database. And we're going to pick autonomous database and select the ATP database in here. And we're gonna not gonna use the vault for the database user and password. We're just gonna type it. So this is the password, and we're gonna create. So this is the Fox connection, and now we're gonna create the connection for the target database. So create connection. The target is ADW, and the type is also autonomous database. And we're gonna pick the ADW database. And again, and you can use the vault to store the password. We're just gonna type it for this demo in here, and we're gonna create. And this is how OCI GoldenGate knows how to connect to the source and target. Okay, both of them are creating right now. So let's create the deployment. We go to deployment, create deployment. Let's give it a name, OCI GoldenGate, description, OCI GoldenGate. We're going to use my compartment, and we're going to choose data replication. In OCI GoldenGate, you can also do data transforms for ETL or ELT type of workloads and stream analytics. But for this demo, we're going to use data replication for change data capture. Our technology is Oracle database. You can use other technologies like big data, MySQL, Postgres, SQL Server, DB2, and others. But for this demo, we're going to use Oracle database. If you want to see a list of all the supported technologies, you can click on the link in here, and you have a list of all the available technologies. You can see an Oracle database, you can see streaming, you can see Redshift, S3, Databricks, and many other technologies. You can see all the options in here. So we're going to pick dev or test. So you can pick one OCPU for production workload. For most use cases, 4 CPUs, but we can go all the way down to 3. You cannot go lower than 3 for production workload. But for this demo, we'll use 1 OCPU, so we can pick dev or test. Note that you can use auto-scaling. Auto-scaling will allow the OCI GoldenGate to scale up all the way to 3 times the base amount. So if we pick, for example, 4 CPUs, OCI GoldenGate can scale all the way to 12, 3 times the amount in case there is a need for more compute. But let's go back to 1. I'm going to pick a private subnet. This is where OCI GoldenGate is going to reside. And it's only accessible from private unless we're going to allow public access, and we'll do it later on. Licensing, we will bring your license. If you're going to get license, you can use bring your license. If you don't have GoldenGate licenses, you can pick license included. And you can also limit the number of all CPUs with bring your license if you chose that option in here. We give it a name, OCI GoldenGate. And we're gonna, the advanced options will allow connectivity from the public internet for this demo. Again, sometimes if you don't want to allow this access, just keep it the way it is as the default. But for this demo, we'll allow it. This will create a load balancer on the public subnet to allow access from the internet. And that's it. We're going to click create. So this process will take a few minutes. So I'm going to pause the recording and resume soon. Okay, the OCI GoldenGate deployment is created. You can see it's active in here. You can see the work request and see how much time. It took about 10 minutes to create the OCI GoldenGate deployment. You can also go to see the connections. Both connections, the new connection I created today, are also active. So now I can go to the deployment and go to the console. In the console, if you go to the DB connection, you don't see any connectivity just yet. What I need to do to see the connections in here is to assign the connections that we created to the new deployment. So I go to the deployment, assign connections, and assign both connections. So first of all, I'm going to assign the ATP, the source, and after that, I'm going to assign the target, ADW, click on assign connections. And it's also going to take a few minutes. I'm going to pause the recording again and return soon. And we're back. As you can see, both connection assigned to the deployment. And you can go to the OCI GoldenGate console, refresh, and you can see both connections, so the source and target. There are a few steps to do before actually starting the application. I will connect to the source first. Sometimes they take a little bit more time to enable connectivity. Here we go. And in the source database, I will first create heartbeat table. Heartbeat table is used for monitoring the health of the GoldenGate application. And I will change the frequency to create a record every 10 seconds. There we go. And we will see how it looks like the heartbeat replication once we set up the extract and replicate. Also, I will set up TRAN data. TRAN data will add more information in the redo logs the GoldenGate will need for the replication. So I will add on the source schema a GGSRC. And it's processing the request. Yep, it's done. So I can actually look for it now, GGSRC. Right now, I don't have any tables in GGSRC schema, so it shows zeros, but later on, once I create a table, you'll see it in here. So this is it from the source side. Now let me connect to the target, to the ADW. I will create a checkpoint table. Checkpoint table used for recovery in case you stopped the GoldenGate application. This is how the replicate know from which point to resume. So I will add a checkpoint table. And this is the schema and table name. It's created. And also in the target, I will create heartbeat. Add a heartbeat. I don't need TRAN data on the target. It's only needed on the source system. And yeah, so we have now all the connections. Now we can create the extract. So you're going to click on create, provide it a name. We can call it E for extract and ATP. We're extracting from the ATP database. Next. This is the ATP database. The trail file name will be GG. And that's it from here. Next. I will enable the critical to deployment health, which means that in case the extract is abandoned for whatever reason, going to get to try to restart it. So I will enable that. And now the parameter files. In the parameter file, I'm instructing the GoldenGate extract to include DDL replication. By default, DDL is turned off, is not enabled. I want to include DDL. Once I'm going to create a table, run create table on the source, I want the table to be created on the target as well. And I would like to capture all the tables from GGSRC schema. Then I can create in one. So now the extract is being created. And I'm going to create, in the meantime, I can create the replicate. Click on create replicate. Non-integrated replicate, you can call it R for replicate and then ADW because the target is ADW. I'm going to use the same trail files for GG. And I'm going to pick ADW. I'm going to use the checkpoint table that I created before. Next, also use the critical for deployment. And in the parameter files, I will also include DDL because I would like the creation of the tables in the source will be replicated as well. That SQL can be used for grouping transactions together. You can get, in some use cases, better performance with that setting. And I'm instructing the replica to map everything from GGSRC schema to the target schema GGTRG. And create N1. So as you can see, you have the extract already running, and the replica is also running. So before doing any activities on the source, I should be able to see the heartbeat that it's replicating because I do an update every 10 seconds. So I can go to the extract and I can see in the statistics, I can see that the extract is capturing the updates on the heartbeat table. So it's working okay. And I can see also in the replicate, and go to the replicate, you can see the statistics. You can see the heartbeat table. And there's also another view in the replicate that shows end-to-end replication from the extract to the target and the lag. So now I'm going to generate some activity on the source. So I will go back to the autonomous database. And go to the source system. This is the source system. And I'm going to use SQL. So I can run some SQL statement on the source system. I will start with creating a table. So I'm going to create demo sales table. So it's created on the source. And I can go to GoldenGate to see the DDL. In here, I'm going to go to statistics. And you can see there's one DDL that's going to get captured. And also in the replicate, this is the replicate, also see the same on the extract. Go to the extract, go to statistics, and you can see the create table. This is the DDL statement. And I'm going to generate some inserts for this table. So I'll go in here. And I'm going to run this PLSQL to insert 1,000,000 records to the new table. And let's go back to GoldenGate. And let me refresh this. This is the extract. Let me refresh. Last, you can see it start capturing on the inserts on this demo sales table. And in the replicate, if I go to the statistics, you can also see all the inserts in the new table on the target. And I can also connect to the target, go to ADW, go to SQL, and this is the target schema. I can do select star form GGTLG. This is the schema name and demo cells. So you can see the records on the target. There you go. Going back to the statistics. Continue to work and it looks like it's done. I have all the records. So if you go back to the source, you see that it's completed. I can also do some updates and deletes in here. So I'm running 2 more statements. First one's going to do an update. And the second one's going to delete records. And then I'm going to commit. And we should be able to see those transactions in GoldenGate as well. So you go back to the OCI GoldenGate console. Then we go to the extract first, and the statistics, and refresh. And you can see on the sales table, you can see the inserts, the updates, and deletes. Also note that on the target system in here, if I change the schema to GG here we go. This is the new table that was created. If I open it, you will see that it was created with all the constraints from the source. So I'm going to constraints. So I create a table with the primary key. So we have the primary key and all the not null check constraints. Those also being replicated to the target system. And few more things you can see in here in OCI GoldenGate console. You can see the report file. The report file shows exactly what all the activities from GoldenGate. You can see it connected to the source database, to the autonomous database, and it's generating the trail file that's used for the replication. You can see in the report file, and you can see the statistics I showed before. And if I go to the replicate, we can also see the heartbeat and to show end-to-end replication from the source to the target. And that's it. Thank you everybody for joining this demo. The demo, again, just to show how easy to set it up. It's very similar between different source and target. You create an extract, you have the trail files, then you use the trail files for the replica to apply the change to a target. And then back to Pete. Thanks, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, Avi. Great job. Folks, for you to learn more, we've provided a couple more slides for you here. There's a lot you can do even beyond the documentation and blogs and so forth. We have live labs. We have the ability for you to try OCI GoldenGate yourself. We'll stand up sources and targets and GoldenGate for you to come and take a guided learning tour and run an exercise at your convenience. Do 15 minutes one day and come back the next day. It'll be saved for you in the same spot to do another half hour the next day and so forth. And we also have free trial versions as well. So don't hesitate to contact your sales account to learn more. We can dive deeper into any of these aspects for you. And we're happy to support what you need to do. Engaging in single customer training on a one-to-one model, multiple customer training. We have Oracle University courses on OCI GoldenGate where you can get fully accredited as a standard user or even an advanced user.
All right. Awesome session. Really appreciate your time and help the session, both Peter and Avi. I hope it's a great learning experience for everyone. As mentioned before, we do have various learning opportunities available to you, various learning resources, labs, and certifications, such as Oracle University, as well as our YouTube channel, as mentioned before. And as shown on the slide over here, if you enjoyed the session, would like for us to conduct personalized training sessions for your organization, please do email us at our personal training email, and we will reach out to you. And if you want us to conduct just a hands-on lab, we also have our Live Labs program for an expedited hands-on learning experience for specific cloud topics, and as well as our developer experience program, formerly known as Code Innovate, which helps you co-develop a solution based on your own use case. And keep in mind, the personal training program is an investment we make in our customers to help them grow and develop their OCS skills, and this all comes at no extra cost to them. And here we have a calendar that shows all our various offerings throughout this month in the Day One Beyond program. If you're interested in joining these additional sessions, please pay a visit to our Day One Beyond homepage and register. As you see on this calendar, our next session in this series is going to be Oracle Cloud. I believe it's Oracle Cloud VMware Solutions transitioning to vSys license portability. We hope to see you then. That being said, have a great day, everyone. Thank you.